Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is day 204, September the 26th, 2017, Tuesday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Well, I have to start today's video by announcing a red alert. We are now at Defense Condition 1, DefCon 1. The nation is now under a massive crime wave. A massive crime wave. Unlike anything we've ever seen before. Worse than the days of the mob. Worse than anything the country's ever seen. A massive crime wave. And who are we to turn to? Well, normally you would turn to the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the chief law enforcement agency of the United States. But unfortunately, because of this scenario, it is the FBI themselves that is the crime wave that I'm talking about. The FBI is now involved in the largest crime wave the country has ever seen. Involved in producing fake intelligence, trying to commit sedition against the president, obstructing justice, and many, many other crimes. We have a red alert situation. The country is now in a complete state of lawlessness when the chief law enforcement agency of the country has gone rogue. You no longer have law and order. What we have now is a quagmire. We have a massive crime wave within the very agency whose job it is to police crime. I would also like to issue a nationwide APB, an all points bulletin, for FBI Director Chris No Shit Sherlock Wray. Has anybody seen Chris No Shit Sherlock Wray, the FBI Director? Have you seen him? I haven't seen him. He's not over here. He's not over there. Have you seen him? I can't find him. If anybody has seen FBI Director Christopher No Shit Sherlock Wray, please report in the comments section. Let us know where you've seen him or if you've spotted him. He appears to be out of service. Crime is all around him. Within his own organization, of which he heads, he doesn't appear to be aware of any of it. He certainly isn't responding. It's a massive crime wave. Somebody's supposed to be doing something. Certainly isn't No Shit Sherlock Wray. He's nowhere to be found. So what do we do in this situation? Well, the next option is to turn to the Department of Justice. That's right, his boss. But what's happening here? Well, it appears that the leader of this three-ring circus, Attorney General, the eager beaver, the overachiever, Jeff Sessions, is out to lunch. He's looking... Wait, we must have our Jeff Sessions official eyeglasses down on the nose. There we go. He's looking for... Oh, got to get the... He's looking for crime. There's crime everywhere. He notices crime. He's watching a lot of crime. He sees a lot of crime. There's a lot of crime out there. Of course, you know, he can't do anything because he recused himself. So he really can't do anything about all the crime. But he's watched every episode of Perry Mason. He's watched every episode of Matlock and Columbo. Even Scooby-Doo. So he knows how to investigate crime. But he recused himself so he can't do anything about it. So there's lots of crime that's not being solved. Not being prosecuted. Not being pursued. And his FBI director is nowhere to be found. What is there to do? My friends, let's get serious. We have a serious problem within the Department of Justice and the FBI. They're clearly obstructing justice. They're not producing witnesses. They're not producing evidence. They are covering up for the previous administration. It's one big family. It's a crime family, an international crime syndicate, as I've told you many times before. We thought that the election of President Trump, the appointment of a new Attorney General, the appointment of a new FBI Director would solve these problems, but apparently it hasn't worked. You have a serious problem. It's a massive crime wave, a red alert situation, DefCon 1. What and who will prosecute the crime when the people who are responsible for prosecuting the crimes are part of the crimes? We have a serious problem, folks. Very, very serious problem. Speaking of crimes, Anthony's Weiner, 21 months in prison. But we're going to have to watch this very carefully. Now, he should go to a federal correction facility somewhere in New York or Connecticut. But we'll have to watch very closely, see what kind of game is being played here, because he may end up in some sort of a country club. For those of you who are not aware of it, back in the 50s, when the mob still ran the show, whenever they would get caught and thrown in jail for something, they would never really actually go into a regular jail. They would go into like these government safe houses. They'd be getting lobster and steak delivered to them 2 or 3 times a day. They'd be living like kings behind bars. Living like kings. We have to make sure that Anthony's Weiner actually goes to a real prison. And to be honest with you, he got a good deal, 21 months. Normally, people who commit the kind of a crime that he's committed get 15-year sentences. He could be out in as early as 17 months. We'll have to watch very carefully. Now, it appears that Schumer didn't show up to his sentencing. Did not show up to his sentencing. So we'll just have to watch and see exactly what kind of prison facility Anthony's Weiner is going to be going to. And of course, I think most of you know that in the general prison population, child molesters don't fare very well. When Anthony comes out, he will probably be singing soprano, if you know what I mean. Well, the NFL has made a massive, massive mistake, which will take them decades to recover from. America is with Trump on this, and he knows it. Did you happen to catch any of the highlights over the weekend? Not of the actual games and the plays, but I mean during the national anthem. Stadiums all across the country, when all those players and owners and coaches and all those guys were all taking the knee, the crowd in the stadiums were booing loudly, including in Dallas. Jerry Jones taking the knee with his players and all the rest. And the audiences booing, heading for the exits. Now they're doing YouTube videos, burning their gear. I'm telling you, this is going to cost the NFL billions of dollars. And all those players making tens and hundreds of millions of dollars in their contracts, that's all coming to an end. I hope all those multimillionaire athletes, I hope that they have put some money back for a rainy day, because the storm clouds are building and they're going to be living off their past earnings, because their future earnings are about to take a serious nosedive. They have committed national suicide. I don't know who made, well, we know who made the decision. The president of the league is the one who made the decision, and he's going to pay a high price for it. Another thing that you're going to see happening here, they want to pretend that there's solidarity with the players, the coaches, and the owners, and all the rest. But you just watch and see if in the weeks to come, you don't start seeing real patriotic football players, a few of the owners, some of the coaches, separating themselves from the riffraff when they realize that it's backfired on them, boomeranged on them, and they start playing to half-filled stadiums. They watch their TV ratings, which are already down 10%. As they watch the slow decline of their sport, as they see advertisers pulling their ads because of the hit that they're taking and their sales, they're going to realize what a massive mistake that they've made. They will then try to recover themselves, but it will take decades. Decades. And isn't it strange how the very left-leaning liberal media, including the sports media, which has been talking about literally trying to get rid of the NFL because of the head injuries and all the other things, they've now jumped on board and are supporting the NFL. Last week, they hated the NFL because of head injuries. This week, they love the NFL because they're opposed to Trump. But Trump is smart. He knows that the red state America is with him, and we know that red state America is 87% of the counties in the country. Look at the map. It's almost all red. Trump knows this. This is no accident. He knew exactly what he was doing. And you would think that the libs and the left-wingers and the crazy progressives would understand what's being done to them. He does it to them over and over and over again. He does it to them over and over again. He triggers them, and he puts them in a position where they have to defend the indefensible. So basically what he's done is he has now put the NFL and all their left wingnut friends in the position that they have to defend defacing the flag. They have to defend looking anti-patriotic. How do you defend that? You don't without looking really, really bad. It's just the same way he's turned the Republicans because of their massive failure on repeal of Obamacare. He's now forced them to look like the defenders of Obamacare and the proponents of it. He's taken the left, Nancy Pelosi and her friends, on the immigration issue and turned it back on them. So now it looks like they're defending or opposing the Dreamers. Trump's very, very smart. When he does this stuff, when he makes those statements and speeches, when he does those tweets and stuff, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's thought it through. He's forcing his opponents to defend positions that are indefensible, that he knows are not popular. More than that, he's forcing a lot of these issues he's forcing them to the surface and forcing people to comment, because I think Trump has been sitting back for years and years watching a lot of this stuff play out, and I think he gets angry because he's the type of person who comes out and stands up and takes a hard, strong position. And I think he's upset that for a long time, ordinary, patriotic, red-blooded Americans have been just sitting back and taking it, and taking it, and taking it. When Christmas time comes around, they tell us we can't use the word Christmas. We can't do anything without offending somebody, without everything being some sort of a punishment or something against some group. The identity politics, and I think Trump is sick of it. I think he wants these debates. I think he wants to have these national arguments. I think that's what he wants. He wants to stir it up. He wants to wake people up. He wants to get people who've been silent for a very long time to stop being silent. He wants to push these issues into the mainstream of thought, into the mainstream of public opinion. He wants to see people fight back the way he fights back. And it's working very well because he's waking people up out of their slumber. They're starting to realize exactly what sort of situation exists in the country and has existed now for going on about 20, 30 years. And he thinks it's time to roll back the tide, and he's correct. It's time to finally stop putting up with the left-wing wacko agenda. I'm sick of it. You're sick of it. We're all sick of it. And Trump is the man. He is forcing his opponents to defend the indefensible. What a brilliant strategist. And he is going to win on this issue and on most issues. Just keep watching. Trump says he hasn't heard anything about the Assange pardon. That's strange. I wonder why that is. Do you think it might be because of the neocon Chief of Staff General Kelly is acting as a gatekeeper and not allowing Trump to have any conversation with anyone who might support the Make America Great Again idea or policies? We know that Dana Rohrabacher talked to the Chief of Staff, the neocon, Mr. Kelly, but it appears that Trump didn't get the message. He doesn't even know that Mr. Rohrabacher had the conversation with Assange and that Assange wants to give him the evidence and to cut a deal. Trump knows nothing about it. Apparently, Kelly didn't say anything to him about it. Shouldn't surprise us. This is why Bannon and Gorka left, because Kelly would no longer give them access to the president. He will not allow anyone to have access to the president. They're trying to control him and stop him from accomplishing his Make America Great Again initiatives and policies. It's not going to work. It's just a matter of time. I think General Kelly will be shown the door. Just keep watching. The loony, George Clooney, now says the rotten reverend is not good at politics. Do you believe that? I don't know if some of you can remember back during the campaign, but it was the George Clooney who came all the way over from England to host a big fundraiser in Hollywood, with all the Hollywood celebrities were there with checkbooks in hand, giving away all that money to the rotten reverend so she could lose every penny of it, $1.2 billion, and she lost. Yes, it was George Clooney who organized that fundraiser in Hollywood, and now he's saying, well, you know, she's never really been a very good politician. She's not very good at politics, but you know, it was a best of two evils, you know. It was a so now, before he just loved her. He thought she was great. She was the smartest woman in America. She was the perfect person for the job. She was the most experienced presidential candidate ever. All things that George Clooney said. Now, he's basically calling her a nitwit. I think he's a nitwit. She played him. George Clooney. Coming back from England, he's not going to stick around there anymore because he doesn't feel safe. Why? Because of all those Islamic radicals hanging out on the block. Doesn't want his kids and wife being threatened by them, so he's coming back home. Oh, but he supports that policy 100%. I wonder how many refugees George Clooney has taken in. My guess is none. Charles Schumer, good old Chucky, says the damned wall will not be the symbol of the U.S. Well, I don't think anyone's suggesting that the wall be the symbol of the U.S. It's simply a way of securing the border to protect the country. Many countries do it. It's a good idea. Works every time it's tried. Never intended to be the national symbol, Chucky. It's just a border security measure. And in case you're not familiar with it, Chucky, your hero, the goddess, the rotten Reverend Clinton, at one time fully supported a border security perimeter. Oh, yes, she did. Go back and watch the video, Chucky. The rotten Reverend was all in for a border wall until Trump proposed it. This was really disgusting. I don't know how. I guess some of you know, if you pay any attention to football, you know that the past few seasons, the past 2 or 3 seasons, they've now been playing games in London, NFL football games in London, because they're trying to expand the NFL into Europe, which will not work, obviously. The Europeans are just, you know, they've tried it before. It's an American game. It's just, everything about it is in opposition to what Europeans would like to see. I mean, it's just not European. I mean, they play cricket, okay? They're not really into contact sports in Europe. It's too physically violent. Not really a European thing, but the NFL owners, if they can make a few extra billion, somehow they'll try to go for it. They tried it before, it failed, it'll fail again. But nevertheless, they've been playing these games in London. So on Sunday, you had the Jaguars and the Ravens. And so when they played the national anthem, they all hit their knees. But when they played God Save the Queen, they all stood up. Can you believe that? They kneel during the national anthem on foreign soil and then stand for God Save the Queen? You gotta be shitting me. This just proves that not only are these individuals, these multi-million-dollar athletes, numbskulls in terms of business and understanding PR and understanding their audience and understanding why they make hundreds of millions of dollars. They're also morons about understanding exactly what type of a system they have there and the whole idea of a queen. It's the reason we don't have a king. Americans would never stand for such a thing. That's just absolutely disgusting. That is just absolutely beyond. I don't even have a word to describe it. Emmanuel Macron. We told you, Europe, we told you, France, that you were going to hate this guy. I told you to vote for Marine Le Pen. I told you to vote for Marine Le Pen. You didn't listen. Instead, you got suckered by the baby-faced, backstabbing, New World Order, one world government, socialist whack job. And now it looks like his party is going to pay a very heavy price because he's not very popular. His ideas are not going over very well. Nobody really likes him very much, but they never did. They never really did, but, you know, they had a good choice. Well, I mean, Marine Le Pen is pretty much of a socialist herself, but at least way she understood that the immigration policy of the EU was destroying the country. If that's the only thing good that she could have done, that would have been better than anything Macron, who's nothing more than a puppet of the technocrats in Brussels. And now the people of France are realizing that they are slaves to Brussels. Like everyone else in the EU, they're heading down the same road as Greece, and they know it. They know it. Pretty soon the EU will own them. They will own France. The EU will pretty soon will be confiscating their pension funds, which is where all their cash is. Pretty soon they'll be taking over French assets, landmarks, monuments, national treasures, because they will assume the debt of France. And there'll be a lot of it because our economy's tanking. Exactly what the EU wants is destroyed countries within the EU so that they can create a bailout package for them, which causes them to give up their sovereignty and all their cash. The people of France realize they've been suckered by Mr. Macron, but they got to live with him for 5 years. And by the time the next election comes around, there may be no France left to save. Somebody in my comments section said that we should bring back the guillotine. I do agree. The Frenchman may want to go back and read about the life and times of King Louis XVI, the Sun King, and his bride, Marie Antoinette. Take a look at how that turned out. Blood was flowing through the streets when they rolled in the guillotine. They set things right. Can it happen in modern times? Maybe we just need a digital guillotine. Will a third attempt at health care fail? Sure looks like it right now. Now they may have an ace up their sleeve. Joe Manchin, as I mentioned yesterday, he's a very, very interesting character sitting on quite the bubble. In a last minute, keep your eyes on this. In the last minute, you may see Joe Manchin pull a number. He may switch over to Republican and be the vote that passes the bill. Also, Rand Paul, the last 2 times around, he played it to the very, very end, trying to get something that he wants. Ted Cruz is playing the same game. I do believe they could get Paul and Cruz and maybe get Manchin's vote. This would greatly upset Twitch McConnell because Twitch McConnell wants this thing to fail. He's doing everything he can to make sure it does fail. And while I'm on the issue, as I've said before, I'm not a huge supporter of Graham Cassidy, but it's better than letting Obamacare go into 2018 when the real bad mojo hits. That's the out year. That's the back. It was back-loaded so that the really big increases, the big tax increases, the big fines and penalties, and the big bailouts for the insurance companies all happen in 2018. But as we can see, the exchanges are failing. More will fail. And we don't know at this point that the president will authorize more bailouts for the insurance companies. We could end up in a very precarious situation right around tax time. Also, right around primary time. President Trump knows all about this. He's looking at that calendar and he's playing his cards exactly right. And the way he's done it, before, the Democrats owned Obamacare, but now he's turned the tables so that the pressure's on Twitch and Paul Ryan. They now own Obamacare. They will get the blame when everything goes to shit. And they know it, and Trump knows it, and unfortunately, so does Pelosi and Schumer. That's right, that's the game that's being played. Let me give you a message, Republicans in the Senate. You better get your act together. You better have a very secret little meeting here in the next few days, if not hours, and you better get together and come up with a plan to boot Twitch. You better get rid of him. You better get rid of Twitch. You better give him a no confidence vote and get him out. Boot him out as soon as possible, immediately if possible. Twitch is going to take you down the drain. He's not up for re-election, but a lot of you are. And once the new class comes in, maybe they'll take care of Twitch. He thinks he's home free. Not a chance, Twitch. Your days are numbered, pal. But I'm telling you, Republicans in the Senate, you better pay attention. And you better get busy. You better axe Twitch before he takes you down with him. And Mr. Flake. Adam Schiff. This guy, you just want to slap him. I mean, this guy, the fact that he can keep a straight face, I mean, I will give him credit. The fact that he can lie the way he does and keep a straight face is impressive. So Schiff is being interviewed on MSNBC, and he says, there's no truth to Trump being wiretapped by Obama. No truth at all of that. There's no evidence of that or anything else. This is the son of a bitch who sat there during hearings reading from the dossier. The fake dossier. Telling us that there's no truth to Trump being wiretapped by Obama. Even CNN is reporting on it. All the left-wing media is reporting on it. Everybody's reporting on it. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody knows about it. We know that James Comey and Clapper and Brennan have all stated that they really didn't know about any wiretapping, any FISA warrants on Trump or on Trump Tower or what have you. But we now know that with if they had, think about it, if they had full-time 24-hour-a-day surveillance on Manafort, on Kushner, and possibly on Stone or other people, we know for sure Manafort and Kushner, that's two people that Trump probably talked to a dozen times a day. If you're monitoring these guys, both these guys, and probably more people, everything they say, and you know they talk to Trump a dozen times a day each, then you're obviously getting Trump. That's why I said, the question is, were there any unmaskings where Trump was unmasked, you see? Because they don't have a warrant for Trump. To unmask Trump, there has to be a really, really good reason. And I don't think they have one. We don't even know where these warrants came from. And we don't even know if all this surveillance was done with warrants. It appears that some of the surveillance was done by Brennan at the CIA using GCHQ, which meant there was no warrant. Illegal. Legal in one term, but illegal in another. Legal in terms of you can use a foreign intelligence agency because of the way they slight the rules, but illegal because of the way that they did it and who they surveilled. And, of course, the unmasking as well. Adam Schiff. What a moron. Of course, Trump was wiretapped, and, of course, Manafort's office was in Trump Tower. The conversation that was picked up, that we talked about last week, with Veselnitskaya, the Russian lobbyist who speaks really good English, along with Manafort, Kushner, and a couple other people, that entire conversation was picked up because they have the transcripts. They have the transcripts of the conversation that was going back and forth between the people in the room. That meeting took place in Trump Tower. Do the math, Mr. Schiff. You will be proven. You will be proven to be a liar, Mr. Schiff. Plain and simple. Well, getting back to this NFL thing again, new poll out today. I believe this is a USA Today poll, and it shows that 72% of people polled say that kneeling down during the national anthem is unpatriotic. 72% think that kneeling down is unpatriotic. Woo, that's a big number. 66% oppose it. And 44% will quit watching. 44%. Now, to you and I, those are just percentages. To people like players, billionaire owners, multimillionaire players, and everyone else, advertisers who spend a tremendous amount of money advertising during NFL games. To them, this is money. Real money. We're talking about hundreds and hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars on the line. And they have staked out a position that's a loser. A big, big money loser as well. This thing is not going to end well for the commish. I expect his days are numbered. He should be castrated, stretched, and quartered, and then tried for his crime of stupidity. Well, my friends, I'm starting a new segment tonight, which I plan on doing every Monday. I'll try to remember to do every Monday. Every Tuesday. Is today? Yes, today's Tuesday. I'm sorry. I don't know what day it is. Hey, but I do know what the fuck is going on otherwise. Guess what? My new segment is going to be called Dumbass of the Week. Dumbass of the Week. That's going to be a tough competition because we have so many contestants competing so well for that honor. But I just couldn't pass up this guy. He is absolutely 100% the dumbass of the week. I can't even pronounce his name. He's an African soccer player. So after his team wins the soccer game, he's in a press conference. And of course, while answering questions and other things, he decided to give thanks to all those people for the big win. And in doing so, he thanked both his wife and his girlfriend. Oh, God. Oh, you can't make this shit up. This guy's on live mic. And soccer is big in Europe, right? There's probably freaking millions and millions and millions of people watching, including his wife and his girlfriend. And he's basically giving thanks. Yeah, I want to thank my wife and my girlfriend. Oh, God. Oh, man, you cannot make this stuff up. We live in a world of stupid. We're surrounded by stupid. On top of that, we have a red alert, a massive crime wave, and don't forget, I have an APB out. If you see Christopher, no shit Sherlock Wray, let me know where you saw him. Put it in the comments section. He might be hanging out at the local golf club. Maybe he's getting a body rub down at a Korean whorehouse. It's hard to say exactly where he might be. Maybe he's hanging out with Imran Awan, possibly and Debbie Wasserman Schultz, having a little action. It's really hard to say what may be going on with no shit Sherlock Wray. He seems to be missing in action. And of course, Sessions, he recused himself, so all he can do is watch fucking reruns of Perry Mason. He can't prosecute anybody. He's out of business. Wonderful. Red alert. Massive crime wave has infiltrated law enforcement, the entire law enforcement community, the FBI, Department of Justice. We are now at DefCon 1. Sleep well. Thank you for tuning in. I'll look forward to being back tomorrow night. Hopefully you'll be there with me. And we'll watch this thing together. Have a good night. Bye.